Welcome to Testimony, a musician story. Heard at testimonystories.com and narrated by myself, Brown Theory, the music lover constantly seeking positive music. Let's get started. All Christ at Mr. Right.
Yeah, I was born sinner, automatically a bad boy. It's just grace in my basket, so I grabbed joy. And they said I can't own my style, so I should just lease it. But I lost my broken passion, God helped me find the pieces. And they said a cosign could only make it through. Every day them dudes are out here bucking, drinking Beetlejuice. And I'm in the air, on the rock, standing on the ledge. Grabbed by the word, and I'm living on the razor's edge. On my Tony Stark, fly so I can reach the start. Style hit the galaxy, giving you the space bars. And I'm learning from my mistakes, it's the nerve flow. Eating Skittles while I'm in the Bible, reading rainbows. I was on the dark side, seeing where my sins at. Now I'm sitting on the train of light, Star Trek. There's no rules, no games, and we crush the fads. Born sinner, but you can find me breaking bad. Bad boys, bad girls.
Applejax was born Ernest Owens on October 3rd, 1982 in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Originally, he grew up in a two-parent Christian household with his sister.
I guess I was a decent kid. I got in trouble mostly, disciplinary things with my mom. Like if I say something wrong or, back then you get smacked. So I had a lot of people around me, so they were able to help me stay in check so I didn't go off on the deep end. Because in North Carolina, we lived, in a really bad neighborhood. And, drug dealers on the other side. And, you know what I'm saying? I seen a lot of things too early. So I was just a kid. A rich kid, poor kid, trying to make it out the hood. A rich kid for me was being rich in I had a family, I had community, rich in just ambition, dreams, and, my parents and my pastors and family, my aunt, uncle, they always taught me that true riches are things that are intangible, love, joy, peace, long suffering, self-control. And if you are wealthy in those things, it helps you to stay away from those things that are negative. But I was also a poor kid because, we were on welfare and I had to wait for child support checks to come in to get certain things. I didn't really have the nicest shoes. All my other friends are wearing J's and I had shoes from 3 years prior, wearing the same clothes every day and having to learn how to wash my clothes so that, we didn't have a washing machine, so we had to hand wash the clothes. So I had a rough upbringing in terms of finances and the things I didn't have. But, I was rich in community and rich in other things, so I was able to balance it out.
At a very young age, his parents divorced, and his dad remarried and moved to Connecticut, where he and his new wife eventually adopted 7 kids. After some time, his father, a Marine, moved the family to Bethel, Connecticut. All of a sudden, little Ernest, the rich kid, poor kid from Fayetteville, split his time between the hood and a $1 million suburban neighborhood. By the time he got to junior high, he stayed in Connecticut and attended school there.
Christ dwelled in the tabernacle, living water in a cup, no snapple. For I sin, propitiation, wrath is satisfied, heart is so Cajun. On fire for God, you feel it on my iPhone. And if you cold, I'm heating up the time zone. Grace is unmerited, God can reach you no matter what you're caught up in. It's all about the finish line. Narrow lane is the very line. Jesus, first and the last, make his name famous, put it on blast. In the kitchen, yo, we got the John 15 T-Flow, lemon 16s with the mint green. Yeah, you know what it is. This is how we flow. Yo, we got free.
When I first got there, I was kind of hardcore. So, you know, the stereotypical black guy, you know, just mean mugging people and just what people, you know, I was coming from a different situation. I was trying to adapt to where I was. And one of my sisters was like, you know, Ernie, nobody likes you because your attitude smells. And she was just telling me just how my attitude was really bad. I was like, yeah, you know, but I ain't like the way these dudes was talking to me. I got called the N-word. She made a racial comment, my science teacher, when my 7th grade year, she made like a racial comment to me, but she said something referring to black people, and it sent the school. It was crazy. Like I didn't think I had that much support because, you know, I was only there, and I started to change my life and, you know, be a little bit more positive and get better grades. So, you know, this is within the first 2 months, and my stepmom went off, and that's when I met, you know, Ms. Zelinsky, and she kind of helped me to, you know, deal with the different things. And I had guys that would call me the N-word. Oh, look at this dude right here. You know what I mean? But then I had my other friends who were white, and they'd be like, no, man, he's cool. Like, don't be doing that. And they would stick up for me. And so it was an interesting dynamic because, you know, as being one of the only black kids, I was on the honor roll. I was doing well in school. You know, popularity began to change because I was playing basketball. So I learned early that, you know, there is this dynamic, there is this divide that, you know, people have an expectation of what they think African Americans are like, and then this is who we really are. And so during that time, I just learned that, you know, people that were not black were going through some of the same things I was going through. It's just a different, you know, different location, a little bit more money. But I didn't react the same way as most people probably would and be like, oh, you're being racist. I was like, okay, I understand that. And we just found another way to combat that by being great students, getting good grades, and, you know, sticking up for all the kids that are getting bullied, and, you know what I mean? So that was the kind of people we were. And I just didn't want to be that stereotypical black kid, you know, always getting in trouble and getting suspended all the time. You know what I mean? And that's what they expected me to be. And, you know, I wanted to, you know, I was raised to do things a little bit different.
Like what you're hearing so far? Check us out at testimonystories.com.
That's testimonystories with an S.com.
Where you can hear content for you and about you. Everyone has a testimony. Everyone has a testimony. And we want to hear yours. Tell us how God has transformed your life. Each month, we will select a person to highlight and interview. Find out more at testimonystories.com.
Testimony.
A musician's story. Testimony, where Christian hip-hop artists give you an exclusive look into their lives and their music. Take a journey into the minds of today's top Christian hip-hop artists as they open up and share about their past, their faith, and their music in ways you've never heard before. Put on your favorite pair of headphones or turn the stereo volume up and
A
listen.
musician's story.
Following the Lord is the only.
Ernest wanted to be a professional basketball player. He knew that he would have a better chance receiving a college scholarship playing basketball if he stayed in Connecticut for his high school years. Unfortunately, a custody battle forced him to move back to North Carolina. His dreams of becoming a pro baller shifted, and he seriously started to focus on God.
I follow God, no empty thrills. Unplugged, so I'm walking up the Lauryn Hills. All day, moving non-stop. And we hold it down. Christ is the boss.
I didn't really get serious until after I quit the team my junior year in high school. And it was at the time, the reason why I did it was because I didn't like the team. And it was like I'm 5'10", so it was like 5 point guards. I'm like, how am I going to play? And there's, you know, all these guards. And I had a situation in Connecticut. So I was so frustrated, so angry And I was like, God, you know what? And I really felt like God wanted me to do it, you know what I mean, at the time. And I was like, you know what? I want to focus on God more. And everyone was like, what are you doing? This is what you want to do. It's crazy. And I really believed at the time that I'll be able to go back to Connecticut. But during that year, my relationship with God just kind of skyrocketed. And it just, I was praying, just reading, just in the Word, and really just under my pastors and under my mentors. And then my life, just kind of began to change rapidly. And my less focus was on basketball and more on my relationship with God. And then that led me to eventually being called to ministry. And at the time, I wasn't concerned about that. I didn't know that was a calling that I had. And then by the age of 17, I preached my first sermon. And I went through this rigorous kind of like curriculum at my church. They had a satellite seminary at the church, and I went through it as a high school, sophomore and junior and senior. And by the time I graduated, I preached my first sermon. And it was during that 3-year span that, I wasn't playing basketball. I played my senior year, but not as much. It was during that time that I really got serious with my relationship with God.
You know what it is. This is how we flow. Yo, here we go. Cream. Christ rules everything around me. Christ rules everything around. Cream. Christ rules everything around me. Christ rules everything. I'm living for the king home. Christ rules everything around me. Kingdom. I'm living for the king home. Christ rules everything around me. Kingdom.
Unless you've experienced it, one could only imagine how difficult it must have been to walk that straight and narrow path as a teenager, especially while being in a long-term relationship.
During that time, a lot of temptations and me, being with her and like being intimate and like we're really close. I'm an affectionate guy, so I like to hug and stuff. So, like during this time, I had to make sure I kept my my purity game on point, because people was watching. They was like, yo, I thought you supposed to be Christian. So I had to like make sure, the swag was on point, And then even when I wasn't with her and I had other girls, I kind of, I had a few girls I liked, but, I try to keep it low key. And I really tried to like live this thing purely before God and be like, you know what? I ain't having sex. I'm like, there was a few moments where it could have went down, but I'm like, Lord, you kept me out of it. You know what I mean? That'll preach right there. So I think for me, during that time, I had, relationships, and I wanted people to see my ups and downs. You know what I mean? So if I made a mistake, it wasn't really the mistake that was the big thing. It was how I recovered from that mistake.
Testimony.
Testimony, where Christian hip-hop artists give you an exclusive look into their lives and their music. Take a journey into the minds of today's top Christian hip-hop artists as they open up and share about their past, their faith, and their music in ways you've never heard before. Put on your favorite pair of headphones or turn the stereo volume up and
A
listen.
musician's story.
Connect with Testimony, a musician story, through social media. Find links to our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and more at testimonystories.com. A musician's story.
My name is Applejax, and you're listening to Testimony, a musician's story. Yeah.
Once he graduated from high school, Ernest moved on to Campbell University in Virginia, where he majored in computer information systems. After a failed attempt at trying out for their basketball team and an injury, Ernest hung up his sneakers for good and found a new hobby: music. Ernest came from a musical family, but besides writing a couple raps for his youth choir back at home, he didn't have much experience. He did a few talent shows and brought various acts to his college campus and performed there as well. One artist he brought to Campbell was gospel award-winning artist who, at the time was known for his hit song Make Me Over, Tone.
And then me and Tone was sitting outside of the barbershop, and he was like, yo, man, you know what, man, you family. And he just, you're not out here trying to promote your album. You ain't trying to do certain things. And we were just kind of talking. I was like, yeah, man, I haven't even recorded. I'm not even trying to do that. I just want to bring you out so you can, bless the people with some music. So from that conversation, he said he was going to hit me back. And then a week later, he sends me a CD. And this CD had two of my first songs I ever recorded. One's called Applejax. Do you want some Applejax? And the second one is Neuro Anthem, what we eventually call Dropping That Ink. And 2 months after that, he flew me out to California. And it was at that time that I started becoming an artist. And, my first recording, I recorded this song called 805, Hands Up on 805. And it was that moment that I really started to get serious with music and recording and becoming an artist.
Do you want some Applejax? No, you want some Applejax? I know you want some Applejax. Think you need some Applejax? Think you need some? You roll Applejax? That's right. Do you want some Applejax? You want some Applejax? No, you want some Applejax? You want some Applejax? Think you need some Applejax? Think you need some? You roll Applejax? Do you want some Applejax? Do you want some Applejax? No, you want some Applejax? I know you want some Applejax. Think you need some Applejax?
So, just like that, Ernest became Applejax. Apple, coming from John 15 and bearing good fruit. Jax, from Mark 1:16 through 17, becoming a fisher of men and, in a sense, jacking souls from negativity and bringing them into the mindset of Christ.
My style is so different. Like I didn't grow up wanting to be a rapper. Some guys like, yeah, man, I've been rapping since I was 12. That wasn't me. You know what I mean? I was rapping a little bit in high school, but not like that. But I credit Tone a lot because, he saw something I performed that night that he came through to campus, and I did like a small song, and that was it. I didn't do nothing else. I didn't tell him I was performing. I didn't say, oh, yo, hey, check out my set. Even though I'm bringing you out. That wasn't that way. You know what I mean? He just saw something else. And I credit him because, my first experience, like how to record, how to write hooks, how to pick production, it was a great experience because I really learned how to become an artist. You know what I mean? And he's one of the greatest performers that I've ever seen and writers. You know what I mean? He's so talented. And, during that time, it was crazy because he had the Out the Box album that came out. I was on that. It was on a couple compilations. And, during that time, the maturation of Applejax started at that moment in terms of the recording artist in San Diego with Tone and the Wise Guy.
Hands up on 805. It's gonna be a big surprise. There's no repeat, no hesitation, no stuttering. So start again. Hands up on 805. It's gonna be a big surprise. No repeat, no hesitation, stuttering, no start again. Escalade with the candy paint. Thinking that you're really inking, but you really ain't. Really, baby, you just thinking like a lobster tank. So much so I write a check and I just leave it blank. Can I have a slice of Auntie Robin's apple pie? Ooh, taste and see that guy is too fly. Carpool cruising north on the 805. In the mirror laboratory looking twice nice.
Sanctified I am, shaka-laka laka boom boom. All you perpetrators, we step out of the room. With all of this anointing, you about to be consumed. Like a tree planted by the water, how should not be moved. Grow tacos from the Baja. TBG fettuccine of the Jaja. Straight blazing with the occasion of the jambalaya. Superhero killing villains for the most high. Kimmy, hit me one more time.
Hands up on 805.
Applejax was doing his thing, and Billboard magazine took notice and called him one of hip-hop's up-and-comers. But while he was being a light while in the spotlight, his personal life started to grow dim, and it began with a premarital sex slip-up right before his college graduation.
Where you are. became a target. Mad girls moved to the sound of the Jackson. I was eating on the candy cone till the lights gone, moving in the right zone, talking on the right phone. But I had to make sure I was hydrated, living water in a cup, trying to stay prayed up. Girls texting, saying the call later, trying to ride shotgun, waving, I hate her. Flying back from NC to Cali, realized that I need faith in the valley. With Tony and Yvette, and things got muddy when divorce slept in, and things got fuzzy, so I had to figure out where I was going. Gotta stay on my grind, and I'm keeping it flowing. Gotta move it, the Lord's movements. Gotta hold on to the keys and keep it so groovy.
I only wanna be where you are, 'cause you're the only one I'm living for. Gotta press to the target, gotta aim for your target.
Me and my girlfriend was talking about getting married and stuff like that. And that was kind of it was like after I've already kind of been on these albums and things like that. And I had this moment, you know what I mean, of weakness. And when after it all happened, I was like, man, I could have waited. You know what I mean? Like I waited all this time. You know what I mean? But it was the issue of we were planning to get married. We didn't I didn't have a ring. I didn't propose, but it was like it felt that way. And then at the time I had no one to talk to. I didn't trust anybody in the church to help me deal with it. I didn't have friends because a lot of friends leaned on me to be their strong person in their weakness, because my friends were going through a lot of stuff too. And so during this time, I kind of took myself away from the music. I didn't record as much. I didn't do a lot of performance. As a young Christian, I wish I had some people that I can trust and not only know everything about my struggle, but can help me walk through it.
He didn't marry that chick, but he did graduate with a BA in business administration. He moved to Boston and gained employment at Harvard University in the copy center. Additionally, he married his wife, fellow recording artist, Trini. Right when he could start to see the light again, troubled waters were about to stir more intensely with news of his mentor, Tony, coming out of the closet.
Applejax never changing, poker face. Life is a game and I'm watching who I'm rolling with. Rolling with. Dice in the game and I'm watching who I'm rolling with. Rolling with. Never changing, poker face. Never changing, poker face. Never changing, poker face. Never change, poker face.
Testimony.
Testimony, where Christian hip-hop artists give you an exclusive look into their lives and their music. Take a journey into the minds of today's top Christian hip-hop artists as they open up and share about their past, their faith, and their music in ways you've never heard before. Put on your favorite pair of headphones or turn the stereo volume up and
A
listen.
musician's story.
Everyone has a testimony, and we want to hear yours. Tell us how God has transformed your life. Each month, we will select a person to highlight and interview. Find out more at testimonystories.com.
Testimony.
Download the podcast of Testimony, a Musician Story on iTunes. Find out how at testimonystories.com.
A musician's story.
My name is Applejax. And you're listening to Testimony, a Musician's Story.
Ladies and gentlemen, check me out.
Yeah.
I'm walking in, heating up, I'm like LeBron, connected to the source, so I guess I have a James Bond. I'm at the table reading moves from the funny poses, thinking I'm a scarecrow just because you showing jokers. iPhone on the charger, got the apple juice. Can't keep your balance if you flying with that Grey Goose.
I met my wife and we got married, and Tony didn't come to the wedding. A lot of people came from all over, but he didn't come. So that hurt me, hurt me a lot that, we'll do anything to rock with him, and then all of a sudden he didn't come. But we talked about it and squashed it, so it was cool. A couple years later, I took some time off music. So I married my wife from 06 to 08. 2 years, I didn't really do a lot of music because I wanted to focus on my marriage. And then I come out do a mixtape, 2008, called Database. And then, during this time, I was still kind of flying back and forth with San Diego, but it felt like the relationship was changing. You know what I mean? Things were like, it wasn't the same. And then all of a sudden, my first album comes out, September 9th, 2009. My first album, Back to the Future, comes out. And the very next day, the Lexi interview, when he comes out, the one that everyone's talking about, it starts to blow up the day after my album drops. And what's crazy is he produced 90% of that album. And so when he came out and everything kind of changed with him, people wouldn't rock with me. You know what I'm saying? Like all my favorite Christian rap artists that would talk to me, hit us up about beats and, we love what you guys are doing. None of those guys would rock with me. No features, no, we was at Flavor Fest one year and people were asking my wife, they was like, well, who did this beat? And she's like, Tone. And it's like a laughing stock. People in front of me, they were like, in front of everyone, they were like, oh, so how's Tone doing? You know what I mean? And it was kind of like a shot. They was throwing shade. They wasn't really concerned about it. You know what I mean? So it was one of those days where I truly felt like an outsider. Just being in that small circle and seeing the reaction, based on what he said and, how he put it out there, people treated us differently. At one time, the different style that I had was people rock with it, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you too different, you too commercial, you rock with Tone. You know what I mean? And they would ask me, they'd be like, oh, you gay? You know what I mean? My wife is right here, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, that don't make sense. So, it was one of those things that, people turned their back on us. It was so difficult going through that because these are people I respect and people that rock with me. You know what I mean? These not random folks that you just see at a show and that's it. I had people's numbers and they, oh, what's going on, Jax? And things changed. And when that happened and he came out, our relationship also changed too because, we didn't really talk as much as we did before. So a lot of changes, a lot of different things. But during that time, it was cool because, I still kept doing music and I released a EP the following year called Jesus High. It was a difficult time, but that's when, I had to like rebrand. It was like the rise and fall, and then the rise again. And, it was a lot of ups and downs just to get to that point. But when he came out, it forced me to lean on God even more. You know what I'm saying? Like to trust God and say, you know what? I got to trust him.
Trust God he did. Jax has continued making music and building his lifestyle brand, Phodacy. It has 3 initiatives: faith, education, and music. In addition to making music, Applejax has moved up from his copy center job in the basement of Harvard to working with the Institute of Race and Justice at the university. This self-proclaimed nerd recently dropped Jesus High 2, which is about holding that banner high and proclaiming Jesus' name while not being ashamed of being an outsider.
It's the soundtrack of life for the world to listen. Songs are the scenes and the album is the motion picture. I can't trust the way they floating. Stingray, my ex-girl seemed red hot, but her jeans gray. And I'm eating a sandwich on the train, subway. And I don't deposit in the Tower Banks runway.
Thank you for listening to Testimony, a musician's story. This has been a Brown Theory production and an 83 Media production. To hear this episode again, as well as past episodes, visit testimonystories.com. Until next time, I'm Brown Theory, the music lover constantly seeking positive music.
I know you got me. 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 Lord, I put my soul in your hands enough. I know you got me. 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 I know you got